Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen.
All right.
Before I share my screen, I just want to, whoever is there in the meeting, can you all, introduce yourself?
I guess we have many numbers.
Oh, okay. They are there. Okay.
And I
Okay.
guess the
I thought
computer's a
everyone
bit,
is on
yeah,
Zoom.
the
Okay.
microphone is a bit far from them. Yeah.
Okay. No worries. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
okay.
some people are joining from Auckland. We have a campus in Auckland and also some from Hawke's Bay. And some other
Okay.
people are still joining. Yeah, so there's like a diverse, a group of people with very diverse background and coming from
Okay.
different locations.
Okay.
Yeah,
No worries.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
No worries.
So some still
Hi.
joining.
Okay. So I'll start then.
All
I'll
right.
share my screen. I need to host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you allow me to share?
Right. So you can hear. Sorry, Indra. Is it okay if you record the session?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank
No
you.
worries. You can hear me all right, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Hi, Indra. So we can't hear you. Are you speaking?
No. I can't share my screen.
All right. can you try it now? Because I changed the settings here. I guess
Okay.
there's something that I need to change in the settings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can share
Okay,
my
good.
screen now. Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So today we are going to learn what the best practices are for data visualization. So, and as Farhad mentioned who I am, so I don't need to go into detail. You have my contact details here, and I'll be sharing this presentation so you can go through what I have done. So you don't need to make much notes. So let's get into it. My name is Indira Bandari, and today's agenda is we learn what is data visualization and why do we need to do data visualization, and also what the data visualization principles are and what the best practices are for data visualizations. And there are a lot of chart types. So which chart to use when? That I'm going to show you that because it's good to know which chart to use in what scenario. And also finally, I will share you my design best practices for each chart type. I have chosen a few chart types, and then we can, what is the best practice for each of the chart type. Okay, let's dive into that. So what is data visualization? Any answers from your participants? I want to know what you think about data visualization. Anyone can unmute and talk.
Maybe Sarah, you can say something. Yeah.
Like if we have a raw data from any source, presenting it in a format which is easily understood, or which is like graphic representation of your raw data.
Very well done. I don't know who spoke, but it's really good. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is data visualization is, as you said, it's a graphical representation of information and data by using visual elements like charts, graphs, and maps. And also there are various data visualization tools that provide an accessible way to see and understand the trends in the data, outliers and patterns if there are any, and things like that. And also data visualization enables decision makers to see analytics presented visually so they can grasp difficult concepts or identify new patterns. And also it is important for graphic designers to adhere to data visualization best practices and determine the best way to present a data set visually. That's the reason that is also data visualization should be useful and visually appealing, but we need to take extra precaution that the data visualization is never misleading. Okay, next question is, why do we need to do data visualization? Anyone?
For getting the better understanding about our analysis and to find out the results or the answer for the problem for which we are just analyzing the data.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons. Okay, so I'm giving you an example here. If you want your Facebook post to be read by a lot of people, what do? So you will add an interesting visual, like a photo of you, like a nice photo of you, or a video of you, or something, or share something that you like, right? So this trick works perfectly with reports too, with the data visualization. So data-driven visuals attract more attention and are easier to understand and assist in getting your message across to the audience very quickly. With the help of descriptive graphs and dashboards, even difficult data can be clearly comprehended, right? So most people are, because what is the reason for this one? Most people are visual learners. So if you want the majority of your partners or colleagues or clients, or even your the company you work for, to be able to interact with your data, you should turn boring charts into beautiful graphics. And I want to share some noteworthy statistics here. People get 90% of information about their environment from their eyes. So they see all the time, we see with our eyes, right? So you get 90%, you assimilate 90% of the information there. And 50% of brain neurons take part in visual data processing. And pictures increase the wish to read a textbook to up to 80%. Particularly kids, if they have pictures, they are attracted to it, right? And people remember 10% of what they hear, and 20% of what they read, and 80% of what they see. So those are the statistics that I found on the web. So I wanted to share with you because it is relevant for today's topic. And using data visualization, if you do relevant data visualization, it has a lot of advantages wherever you are doing. What does it do? How does it help? It helps in fast decision making. And it will get most people are better at perceiving and remembering information that is presented visually. And also there is a higher degree of involvement, where beautiful and bright graphics with clear messages attract the reader's attention. And also there is a better understanding of data, as Manukruti said. Okay, so now let's get into what are the types of data visualizations. Can anyone name some?
Scatter plots.
Scatter
Can't hear.
Scatter plots, bar charts.
Oh, yes.
Plans, box plots.
Yeah, maps and stuff. Okay, so
Pie diagrams.
yes, pie charts as well. Okay, so there are various types of data visualization charts. I have listed only a few here. The charts includes a line chart, area chart, and a bar chart, or even a pie chart. I'm hoping that everyone is aware of what a line chart is. Anyway, I'll just mention a few words. A line chart illustrates changes over time, where there is an x-axis and a y-axis. And area chart is an adaptation of a line chart, where the area under the line is filled to emphasize its significance, filled with some color. And a bar chart is nothing but a series of bars filled with some color, and that also illustrates changes over time. And there are tables which we use in Excel and Google Sheets. Sometimes the tables also can be visually appealing if we incorporate some kind of a conditional formatting. Maybe in a big table, if we highlight those numbers that we want the user to view, to get the attention, then it will be a good visual. Otherwise, we can do a gradient conditional formatting, for a increasing or a decreasing trend or something like that. And there is a histogram. What is a histogram used to? Can anyone tell? A histogram looks like a bar chart, and it measures frequency rather than trends. So that is the difference between bar chart and a histogram. It measures frequency, but whereas the bar chart, it can be used for changes in trend, changes over time. And you have maps. Google Maps is the best one. So much of the data dealt with in businesses has localized element. Like for example, how many stores are there? Kmart stores are there worldwide, or even in New Zealand. How many stores are there in the New Zealand map? That will be a better visual to visualize the localized content. And a bubble chart. A bubble chart is an adaptation of a scatter plot where each point is illustrated as a bubble, where area has meaning in addition to its placement on the axis. So bubbles increase as the size increases, and we'll learn a bit more in detail later on. And a scatter plot is used to, what is the scatter plot used to? Any ideas?
Relationship between the variables?
Yeah, so it is mainly used for correlations, to find some correlations. So each point on a scatter plot means when X is this, then Y equals this, sort of a analogy. And heat maps. Heat maps is basically a color-coded matrix, and a formula is used to color each cell of the matrix, and it is shaded to represent the relative value or risk for that in that cell. So these are a few examples that I have taken for types of data visualizations. Now let's get on to the next step. I want to show you some best data visualization examples which I found from a few years back. The first one I want to share these four. Napoleon March is a visual that was done, and also a cholera outbreak was mapped by John Snow, and a film dialogue by Gender. And I have provided all the links so that you can go and have a look as to how they have done it. The first two are Wikipedia links, because it's not an interactive visual that they have done, but the second two are interactive ones, so you can go and explore them later. So let's go to the Napoleon chart, Napoleon March visual. Here, this was done in 1812. The march was done in 1812. And this visual represents the route that Napoleon marched to Moscow in order to conquer the city. It was a disaster, having started with around 470,000 soldiers, but he returned back with only 10,000 soldiers. This chart tells the story of that campaign and has become one of the most famous visualizations of all time. The map details the out and back journey of Napoleon troops. The width of the line represents the total number of soldiers, and the color, the light color there, the beige color, represents the direction. The beige color, the first one, the light color represents the walk that they have taken towards Moscow, and the black for their return trip. Below the central visualization, there is a line graph as well, which is illustrating the rapidly dropping winter cold, the temperature. So this is the line graph that is also depicted here. It is very effective And a lot of criticism has been placed in this chart, but still it remains a hugely influential and successful chart. I have taken this from excelcharts.com, and I have given the link to the Wikipedia here. Coming to the next one, this is the cholera map. Jon Snow, this is not the Jon Snow of Game of Thrones, but this is, I think this was done in 1854, cholera outbreak. Jon Snow, he has done an early dot map visualization. What he has done is he used small bar graphs on city blocks, see small bar graphs on city blocks, to mark the number of cholera deaths at each household in a London neighborhood. The concentration and length of these bars show a specific collection of city blocks in an attempt to discover why the trends of death is higher than elsewhere. What did he find? The households that suffered the most from cholera were all using the same well for the drinking water. So at the time, this was a complete revelation. See, because of this visualization, the way he has done it, they found the cause, which is really hugely successful visualization according to me. And it revealed the root cause problem and inspired a solution. So at that time, dot maps and heat maps weren't that famous, but this early attempt was incredibly innovative. So the solution was only discovered because John pushed the boundaries of visualization technique to create something useful and new. Coming to the next one, this is a film dialogue by gender. Here, this visualization is done by two people, Hannah Anderson and Matt Daniels, and they visualized gender disparity in pop culture. So I have just taken this screenshot, but if you go in here, you can click on this link, and also you can click on 2005 screenplays dialogue broken down by gender, and also these are the three links. Mainly they have visualized the Disney movie data, and a simple gradient. They have used a simple gradient bar that allows the user to search for movies and also explore few key filters, like these are the filters, like the gender and gender balance, and how many women have dialogues and things like that. It's a really good visualization. You can click on this and then go there and then see how they have done it. And finally, I want to share the last visualization, which is called Selfie City. So here I have given you a little bit of the filters that they have used. It's really amazing how they have done it. Maybe I will share, maybe we can go there. We might think that maybe it's not coming. Okay, I'll just share you some insight as to what they have done. They presented a wide view of selfie data in the context of transnational phenomenon. So they have used, I think, London, New York, Bangkok, and a few other cities. What's incredible here is just how comprehensive the study is, and how seriously it slices and dices every aspect of selfies. So we can find trends in everything from head tilt or pose tilts by city to smile frequency by age group and gender. And it probably won't surprise you to learn that the selfie takers tended to be young. We all know that. But it may surprise you to learn that selfies aren't as prevalent as is usually assumed. And also, women in Sao Paulo, selfies favor an extreme head tilt compared to the rest of the world. And that Bangkok is all with smiles. All selfies from Bangkok are with smiles. With social media influence becoming more ingrained in our lives, this is a fascinating look at a prolific global phenomenon. So you can, when you have some time, you can go through how they have done it. It's really interesting. Okay, so now comes to, we will go through the data visualization tools. Can anyone tell what a couple of data visualization tools? Sorry?
Power BI, Microsoft Power BI.
Yeah, Microsoft Power BI. And before Power BI, what visualization tool could we use from Microsoft? You use it daily, don't you?
Excel.
Yes, yes, very good. Yeah, and what else?
There's Python and R. That's
Yes,
I heard
yes.
actually.
Yeah. Okay, so I have listed a few here. So these are, I have not included Python and R because those are code related, but these are tools, actual tools that are meant only for data visualization. So these are Excel, Power BI, Tableau, ClickSense, and MicroStrategy. These are all data visualization tools with different capabilities. And if you want to achieve at what you want to visualize, I think you can mostly achieve with the top 3, and yeah, little bit with ClickSense. I'm not familiar with MicroStrategy, so I can't comment on that. So next comes what are the principles? Okay, what should we consider as principles? Any ideas? Does anyone, what should be the data visualization principles? Okay, I'll go through. First of all, you need to define a clear purpose. Why are we doing the visualization? Once you get data, how do you start visualization? First, you need to have some data, and just having data is not enough. You need to have some kind of a purpose. What does purpose mean? So you should have some questions. What are the questions that you are trying to answer or trying to get the data to answer? That is having the clear purpose means. So you need to have some strategic questions that provide real value and help solve real problems. And then you need to know your audience. Data visualization is useless if not designed to communicate clearly with the target audience. It should be compatible with the audience's expertise and allow viewers to view and process data easily and quickly. So, so based on the audience, you can derive it what kind of visuals you can use. And also the next one is use appropriate visuals to show data properly. There are so many different types of charts. So deciding what type is best for visualizing the data being presented is an art into itself. The right chart will not make the data easier to understand, but also present it in the more accurate light. To make the right choice, consider what type of data you need to convey and to whom it is being conveyed. I'll go through the different types of which visuals to use for which kind of data at the end. So more details on this, use appropriate visuals at the end. And also don't distort the data. A great visualization should tell a story. And it should tell the story very clearly, avoiding distortions. Avoid the use of visual representations that don't accurately represent the data. For example, sometimes people, because there is a 3D available, they want to use it. But sometimes, most of the times, the 3D visuals are don't mean anything, and sometimes they might distort the, for example, pie charts in 3D. It really distorts the proportions of each slice. So it is not advisable. Data visualizations can lead viewers to certain conclusions without distorting the data itself. So make sure that you don't distort the data. And finally, I want to share that we need to make the data visualizations inclusive. What do I mean by that? I have heard that 1 in 5 of us are colorblind. So we need to take care to include when we are choosing colors to be accessible. So color is used extensively as a way to represent and differentiate information. So, and also it is also a key factor in user decisions. So when you are choosing color, if charts with similar colors and less contrast are difficult to read for the average person, they are even more difficult for people that don't have perfect vision, and they represent a significant part of the population. And according to WHO, an estimated 253 million people live with vision impairment. And fortunately, these days, there are some tools available to check how an image will be visualized by people with these impairments. So you like the Illustrator, and there is a color blindness proofing in Photoshop and Illustrator. So we can use that when you are trying to create the visuals. If the simulation tools reveal problems with the color palette, there are techniques that can improve the graph readability. So use colors that have high contrast. Complement the use of colors with pattern or texture to convey different types of information, and use text or icons to label elements. These are the some of the tips that you can use to make visuals inclusive. Now we will see a bit of best practice of data visualizations. A data visualization. Now think like this. If your dashboard is a car, user experience is the engine and user interface is the paint job. So in other words, a dashboard that works but isn't easy on the eyes might have great user experience qualities but lack the right visual elements to make it appealing. And conversely, a dashboard that looks great but makes it difficult for users to find what they need, and but they have a fantastic user interface but lacks a fully thought out user experience. So both are in vain. So good data visualizations takes the burden of effort off the brain and puts it on the eyes. So these are Stephen Few's 8 core principles that let us accomplish a good data visualization. So the first one is simplify. So just like an artist can capture the essence of an emotion with just a few lines, good data visualization captures the essence of data without oversimplifying. And also we need to, for the next one is compare. We need to be able to compare our data visualizations side by side. So we can't hold the details of our data visualizations in our memory. So shift the burden of effort to our eyes. And attend. So for example, you need to make the data visualizations so that our brains are easily encouraged to pay attention to the relevant or irrelevant details. I have shared the data, the Stephen's book link in the resources, so you can go through more there. And data visualization tools should let us just explore, not just to answer a specific question, but discover things. It should be able to discover things and explore data by the user who is using it. And also view diversely. View diversely is different views of the same data provide different insights. So you can change the visualizations for the same data, so that different perspectives can be seen. And also ask why. Always be curious. More than knowing what's happening, we need to know why it's happening. And this is where actionable results come from. And also be skeptical. We too rarely question the answers we get from our data because traditional tools have made data analysis so hard. So we accept the first answer and then we get simply because exploring any further is in the tool is hard. And also respond. How do you respond? Simply answering questions for yourself has limited benefit. It's the ability to share our data that leads to global enlightenment. So these are the 8 core principles or best practices shared by Stephen Few, who is the data visualization guru sort of. Now I want to show you a few examples, and I'm going to ask you whether they are good visualizations or bad visualizations. So this is one example. This is the, what is this? Can anyone tell? Any answer? Okay, as the heading suggests, this is new corona cases per day. And what do you think? Is it a good data visualization example or a bad data visualization example?
Not so good.
Not so good. Why?
Because as it is increasing, like on 29th of March, there are 320 cases, but
yeah,
it seems to be very less.
Seems to, yeah. Here the main thing is it has misleading data visualization.
Yeah.
So the y-axis representing the number of new cases on the day is misleading because it doesn't start at 0. So it's a steep jump, and yeah, it's misleading. So we should not do data visualizations like this kind. Okay, I'm going to go through the next example. Okay, so what do you think? Is this a good way to represent or not? Can you understand what this data means? What this visualization means with the information that is provided? Yes or no?
No.
No, because there is no legend, right? So I am putting the legend here. So what the gray axis is meaning is it's continue to rent, and what's the blue meaning? Buying a condo is cheaper because in the long run. Okay, because in 10 years, see this, the x-axis is in years from 1 to 10, and this is the dollars. So this is a great example of making a statement by using colors. See the usage of colors as well here. As soon as you look at the graph, I want to include this as well, and also this. See this. What do you think? This visualization, is it good or bad now? Yes or no? Okay, no answer. I think that this is a good visualization with all the information now, because it is drawing the user or drawing the viewer to the blue line with the color combination, and because the one that is not important is colored as light gray, and that is not, when the viewer sees this graph, immediately he's drawn to the blue line. And what does it say? Buying a condo is more expensive in the short term because of the down payment. What is the down payment? Down payment is I think $30,000 or something. And but he saves in the next 10 years, over the next 10 years, he saves 46,500, because renting costs is $270,500 over 10 years, and buying a condo is $224,000. So this is, according to me, that this is a good example and good use of colors as well, and also the legend. Okay, so I'll go to the next example. What do you think? Is it a good visualization or a bad visualization? Yeah, I think this is a good visualization, because there is a dotted line, and which is the goal, and as per the goal, we are comparing the goal with the time to fill with the two lines. And with this chart design, the goal is the first thing you see, because of the formatting that the user has given, that the creator has given. Instead of having the thick line, he had a dotted line, saying that is different, that is the target, and that is different from the actual figures. And if you are going to play around with some of the smaller details in your graph, then make sure there is a reason behind what you're doing. And dotted lines are a great feature when used to reference a goal, but should not be used to draw attention, or just because we have the facility of dotted line, just don't use it. You have to have a reason why you have used it, and the reason must be clearly conveyed by just looking at it, which this visualization does. Okay, another example. Is this a good visualization or a bad visualization? This is when Apple tried to illustrate that the new iPad battery had 70% longer battery life. They increased the height by 70%, but also the overall size. So this visualization, according to me, is a misleading visualization. Don't you agree? Okay, so now, one last example I want to share. I have given the links here. You can go here, and this is again by 50, 30, 20. This visualization is done. Here, it says what the people should be spending and what they're actually spending. This visualization says 50% needs. They should be spending 50% on their needs and 30% on their wants, and 20% on the for saving. But what they are actually spending, what they have looked at the data, and then what they are actually spending is 71% on needs, which is 21% more, and 17% on wants, and 12%, only 12% as savings. You can go to the source and then you can have a look. There are other dimensions as well. I just caught this one, which is very visual, so I just pasted this one. So now let's go into how to choose the right chart type. Just give me a minute. So what are the chart types that we are going to have a look? Okay, so we are going to have a look at line charts, maps, bar charts or column charts, and histograms and pie charts, and yeah. Okay, so first of all, before we decide on the visualization, what we need to do is we need to ask these 5 questions. So first one is, what do you want to do? Do you want to compare values? And what are the charts that are best when you want to compare values? That's what I have given here. So any guesses as to what charts that we need to use to compare values, if you are comparing values?
Pie chart,
I can't hear anything, so I'm just going to put it. It's
bar
called,
chart.
yeah, column chart, bar chart, because we are comparing. Pie chart to some extent. Don't use pie chart if you have more than 5 categories to compare. And also line chart and a scatter plot. Scatter plot is like we are comparing, we are getting relationships, so we can use that. And what is the next question you have to ask? First question is, do you want to compare values, or do you want to show a composition of something, composition of something? So what are the chart types here that we can show? So this is the these are the charts that you can use: a stacked column chart or a stacked bar chart, because we are doing showing the composition in the stacks. And also a pie also can be used, and also a waterfall chart. Waterfall chart are mainly used for example, like in financial scenarios, like profit and loss statement and things like that. And also waterfall is used maybe sometimes in project related visualization. And also the area charts also, because we shared the region, we can use it for composition. Okay, the next question that you need to ask is, do you want to understand the distribution of your data? So distribution charts can help you to understand. What do they help you to understand? They help you to understand outliers, and also the normal tendency and the range of information in your values. And there are only 4 charts recommended to be used for visualizing distribution. That is the column chart, bar chart, scatter plot, and line chart. Now this is the third question. The fourth question is, are you interested in analyzing trends in your data set? Do you want to analyze trends? So if you want to know more information about how a data set performs, specific to time period, there are a few chart types, very few chart types that do extremely well. That is the column chart, line chart, and dual axis lines. So dual axis means you have you not only have X and Y axis, but you have a third axis called Z axis, or whatever you want to call it. I'll show you a picture later on in the presentation. So these are the 3 charts that you can use when you want to analyze trends. Next one is, do you want to understand the relationship between value sets? So the first thing that you can think of is scatter plot, because it can be well depicted for correlations, and also line chart, and also bubble chart with the size of the bubbles. So that's the different what do you call the questions that you need to ask for before you start creating your visuals, which chart you want to use. Now we will come to the design best practices, what type of charts to use, and also what are the best practices to use each chart. So for line chart, use solid lines only, and don't plot more than 4 lines, because it will cause visual distractions. So to avoid visual distractions, just plot just 4 lines. So there should be only 4 legend items. And use the right height, so the lines take up roughly 2/3 of the y-axis height. And also try and include the y-axis from 0, so that there is no distortion. So these are the best practices for line chart. And coming to the bar graphs and column charts. So a bar chart is another diagram that's perfectly suited for comparing data sets. There are horizontal bar charts that are often used when you need to compare lots of data sets, and also to visually emphasize the distinct advantage of one of the data sets. So when you have a bar chart, you can draw attention. If you want to draw attention to one particular bar based on the value, you can just color that particular bar with using conditional formatting. You can depict vertical bar charts or horizontal bar charts. For example, how the company profit has changed over the past few years. So what are the best practices? Use consistent colors to highlight meaningful data points or changes over time. And also make sure the colors that you use are inclusive or accessible. And also use horizontal labels to improve readability. Sometimes if you have more bars, you tend to move the labels to vertical, which is not very user friendly. And also start the y-axis at 0 to appropriately reflect the values in your graph. Next comes area chart. See, the area chart, I showed a small visual here. It is similar, it's an extension to a line chart with the lines, and then the area underneath it is covered. So that's the example of an area chart. So area chart, best practices is use transparent colors, so information isn't obscured in the background. So this is really a nice visual of our area chart, because it is clearly depicting the areas with the soothing colors. Don't display more than 4 categories again, like the line chart, to avoid clutter. And also organize highly variable data at the top to make it easy to read. So you can do that when you are creating a area chart. Next comes stacked bar or column charts. This is best used to illustrate part to whole relationship. So if you have a what do you call, a total depicting by gender or by other legends, you can use stacked or column charts, stacked bar or column charts. And also use contrasting colors for greater clarity. And also again, make chart scale large enough to view group sizes. It should not be misleading. Now, dual axis charts. See here, in this you have 3 axes, the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis. And the z-axis is represented by this red line here. And the y-axis values are the bars here. So you have a combination of a line and a bar graph, or a bar graph. And the best practices here is, again, use the y-axis on the left side for the primary variable, because always our brains are naturally inclined to look left first. And use different graphing styles to illustrate the 2 data sets. For example, in this dual chart, if you use, instead of line, if you use again a column, then it will not be that clear that you are using a dual axis chart. And choose contrasting colors for the 2 data sets, like how we have used here, green and red. And also, when you are using red and green, just be cautionate that red is used when you are trying to draw attention to, for example, if you are not performing well, if the sales are not performing well, then you tend to use the red. And where the sales are performing well, you tend to use green, so that it's like a traffic light composition. So wherever you are using red, just be caution, just beware of the usage. Now comes pie charts. So for pie charts, don't illustrate too many categories to ensure differentiation between slices. Also, don't use for more than, if you have more than 5 categories to compare, don't use it. And ensure that the slice values add up to 100%. Because a circle is fraction, so the composition should be 100%. And when you have percentages, try and use pie charts. And order the slices according to the sizes, so that it's clear that whichever size is bigger, and so that it either in a clockwise direction or an anti-clockwise direction, so that it is very clear. Otherwise, the visualization can be misleading. And come to the scatter plot. As I said earlier, it is used for depicting correlations. Include more variables to incorporate more data, and also start y-axis at 0 to represent the data accurately. And if you use trend lines, only use a maximum of 2. You can use a combination of scatter plot and trend lines. So if you are using trend lines, don't use more than 2. I would just suggest use maybe 1. And the bubble chart, how does a bubble chart look? So this is the way a bubble chart looks. As the size increases, hours spent, this is hours spent online by age and gender. So this is a bubble chart example. And what are the best practices for using bubble charts? Scale bubbles according to area, not the diameter. And make sure labels are clear and visible. And most of the time use circular shapes only. The data visualization tools can provide you with different shapes, but circular shapes will mean more clear, will make it more clear. Sorry. Okay, now how does the waterfall chart look? It is something like this. Product profit analysis. So, and for best practices for this is use contrasting colors to highlight differences in data sets, and also choose warm colors to indicate increases and cool colors to indicate decreases. So this is $1,000 is indicating increase, and 150 is indicating decrease. So that's the meaning of the waterfall chart. And then now coming to bullet graphs, there are some bullet graphs which we didn't discuss. So here for bullet graphs, just this is showing how far away is the performance compared to the target. So the target here is, I think, around 600. How many new customers have we got now? Just below 500, or just close to 500, something like that. So, and also use contrasting colors to highlight how the data is progressing, and use one color in different shades to gauge the progress. So those are the best practices for bullet graphs. And these are the resources, 2 books I have linked. Edward Tufte and Stephen Few, Big Data, Big Dupe, and also Stephen Few has written quite a few books on data visualization. One is Show Me the Numbers, and other resources. And any questions?
Thanks, Intra. Any questions from the audience?
The question is, she said always reflect the 0 y-axis. How about I want to highlight my points, because for example the 0 is here, and then my point will start at like 500,000, and then it will be very far. I want to highlight this.
The scale is so big, right? Okay. So the question, Indra, is that when you have like a variable with very large scale, for example, like the value is around 50,000, and
Yeah.
you said that they should start from zero, like
Yeah.
y-axis. So in that case, what's the best way to visualize that?
Yeah, so if you start from zero, the scale will be bigger. So 5,000, 10,000, or maybe 50,000, 100,000, something like that. So that the proportion is not disparate. So that's the reason they suggest to use zero, y-axis zero. But I know when we tend to change the minimum and maximum scale to depict the proportion. But I think best practice is to use y-axis as zero. Hope that answered the question.
Okay, otherwise they have to scale it, right, to something between the value between 0 and something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, any other questions from online? Let's see if,
So I'm fine.
Yeah, what was the question?
yeah, so any other questions? Okay, one question that I've got here, because students are doing a postgrad course on data analytics, and as one of their assignments, they have to visualize data. So, because they are coming usually from business background, right?
Yeah.
Mostly from business background, not IT. So they are mostly comfortable with the Excel.
Yeah.
Not sure about Power BI. So how do you compare this? Do you think that they could still use Excel to have a good quality of the visualization? For
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah. The latest Excel has all. It's not about like how I have shown the whole class today. It's about what, ask those questions, those 5 questions. What are you trying to depict? Are you trying to compare values, or are you trying to analyze trends, or are you trying to analyze the distribution patterns? Or so ask those questions and decide the visualizations that you are going to do based on the visualizations that I have given, and also follow the best practices for each of the visual that you have selected. And all this capability is already there in Excel. Unless you have large amount of data that you can't fit in Excel, you should be able to do the data visualization with just Excel. So it should be absolutely okay.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, do you have any other questions? Any questions from online participants? No questions?
One question, I don't know, does it relates to the topic or not? As we just create the any bar chart over this Excel sheet, and then for like what I did, I just copied from Excel and just pasted on the Word document.
Yeah.
So is there any other way to just put it in your report?
Any other way to put it in your report? Yeah, copy and paste should work, right?
Yeah, but sometimes it's you have to just enlarge the size, and sometimes when it goes off from the Excel sheet, then it goes off from the Word file also.
Oh, that means you are linking, because you are linking.
Yes.
If the data changes, okay.
I think one way to do this maybe is just to paste the image rather than the content.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing. Or else maybe you can. One more suggestion is, if you create the if you do the Excel like a Word and then create that as a PDF, that also should be fine. for your report. So you can, but that's a difficult. If you have
I
too
have
much
to-
text, then
Yeah.
it is difficult.
So you're just telling me that I have to just make it PDF. The Excel should be in PDF.
No, no, no. Excel. If you are copying just the image, copy the image as a image. Copy the visual, the line chart or bar chart that you are using. Copy it and paste it as a image. So if you select the copy, if you select the bar chart copy, go into Excel, go into Word, and then right click, click on paste special, and then paste image, paste JPG image or something like that.